We've all gone quiet because we've been told off by Jester.
Trying to make sure it comes up right this time because of all the technical difficulties we've had already.
You're live. I see you.
Yeah, we're live.
All right. Well, we
Looks like
are live, although for some reason it didn't bother to come up on my screen over here. But what else is new? What else is new? For some reason. All righty, guys. If you are coming to this live stream, if you're preparing for some good old-fashioned war game talk, you come to the wrong place because we are having all kinds of technical difficulties here today. But we're hoping to get by that today because we've got a special guest, somebody we're really, really excited to talk with.
Who's that?
Somebody that is world famous.
Yeah.
Someone that can just knows everything about everything. The one, the only Blastpop. I've known your channel for about what 5 or 6 years. I posted messages, and we finally, I'm honored to get to talk with you. So thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, sir.
Thanks for having me. Don't mind me if I try to, say something while you're trying to say something. That's just a bad habit on my part. But instead of giving me accolades and stuff, just send me the money. I'll be happy with that.
Send you the money. Just send you the money.
You did pay.
We got a lot of people here already, so let's say hi to everyone. Grumbling Groanyard. Wow. JT, Chris Riley, thanks for coming on by. Richard, Jezza.
Thanks, Jez.
Mike's here. He wants us to.
Mike.
So we talked last week. We were going to be like, hey, next Sunday we're going to play. Next Sunday we're going to play. And then, of course, as soon as the live stream ended, I'm like, damn, next Sunday's Valentine's Day. That's not going to work. We'll schedule something. And then the wife would be like, oh, we have to go to so-and-so or do this at the same time. So no one mentioned, not one person, nobody in the chat, nobody in the live stream, nobody said, hey, don't forget next Sunday is Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we've been married too long, Jester. That's what it is.
There you go.
That's a good reason. So I think we're going to try to schedule for next Sunday. I don't think there's a special event next Sunday. Let's hope not.
Oh, it's the cheese rolling contest over here.
All right, well, maybe the following Sunday then.
No, I'm joking. Get out of it.
Oh, okay. All right. Hithwell's here as well. Hex to Hex is here. He still hasn't cleaned up his place. If you saw his last video, his place is still a mess. So we can't have him back on until he's cleaned his place up. Blastpop, look at that. You guys, Ruff, Tony, you see his shells there, boys? You see his shells? Very nice.
What's wrong with my? Oh yeah, we're just making yeah. I have the books because the game. I have 3 spots in the basement for games, 3 shelves. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they're not all in the same spot, so I can't do the huge wall of games, or I would. But
nothing wrong with
that. How many
that.
games you got there, Blastpop?
Well, through the years, I've probably had several thousand. But right now, I'm probably down to a number between 500 and 800, a number which I could probably play in the rest of my lifetime, hopefully.
Yeah.
But that's all genres, isn't it? Because you also got like things like Warhammer and fantasy stuff as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I do some Warhammer stuff. I started that originally to paint with my son. My son shows very little or no interest in it.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. I do a little of that. I do some other miniatures and models as I get interested in them. So I'm a collector.
Oh,
am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of buy what I want, and right now my major thing is the Lord of the Rings card game at the moment. I'm absolutely loving that, and I'm rereading the trilogy right now, and so I'm not such a good wargamer. I'm doing other stuff that's diverting my attention. But my wife, who is truly lovable, had made this for me recently.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I know, this is it, you know. Hi, Blastpop here. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Blastpop here.
Yeah, my wife thinks I'm a weenie, but what the heck?
Well, you can just tell her you're big time now because you were on the War Room and
Is this what
thousands of guests and hundreds and millions of views. So you're big time now.
So that's what this is called?
Yeah.
15.
He might be the first guest we have to time out. So it might be the first one. Although Art Wolf came up really close. I think I did. I can't remember if I muted him or not. Between him and Tony, me and Ruff were just sitting here twiddling our thumbs. We couldn't get 2 words in.
I remember that. I had to leave early because I couldn't get a word edgewise, but I had to leave early that time.
Geez, I didn't realize you had any guests yet. I thought it was the first one, other than Mike Berticelli.
No. We've had Mike, we've had Art Wolf, we've had Big Board Gaming, we've had who else have we had? Art
Land.
Mitch Land, right?
OG.
Yeah. So you're way down the list, obviously.
Excuse me.
It's all right.
Yeah, Blastpop has got a few things he's dealing with, so he said he might have to jump in and out, which is fine. No problems there at all, and we respect his privacy, so we're just going to mute him while he's doing his thing. So, all right, Tony, Ruff, how you guys doing?
Doing good.
Doing okay. I finally, as you saw, and I dare say I'm going to get some comments and grief about, I actually did a live stream this week and thoroughly enjoyed it, and it seemed to be all working well. I've just got to get used to the old Streamlabby OBS a little bit more, so I think I cut you off right at the end. I went, goodbye, it was gone. So I didn't mean to do that. It's just I've got to, because I've got 2 things going and there's lag between the 2. I've got to make sure that the one that's in front, make sure when you see the other one, it doesn't cut you off. But yeah, fantastic. Had a great load of people watching me strumble through the hunters. And what I love about it, you know, it's nothing to do with winning or losing, is it? It's the fun that I have and the fun people watching it and shouting at me when I get things wrong. Old, Steeler fans shouting in caps, ho, ho, ho. You know, so yeah, and I'm going, yes, it's flooding. So, but that's the fun of it, isn't it? When people just join in. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Hope to do another one next week and see if I can get sunk. But it went really well. I think I played most of it, mostly correctly anyway. But that's not the point, is it? I know I didn't. It's a game. And if you want me to, I'll put my tonnage back to 0 if you want.
I've got a problem with your game. You have to follow the rules to play the game.
Yeah, sure. And that's what the people in the thing say. If I've done something,
I tried explaining to you that in the chat, and you completely ignored me in the chat.
I muted you.
Well,
I cut you out.
It's like you got in the same thing that happened to me, and you just were like, oh, I'm just going to ignore the rules, and I'm just going to get out of it.
Yeah, and I had great fun.
You know, Richard Berg. Richard Berg said, "You buy a war game, you can do anything you want with it." He says, "You can play it any way you want. You can change the rules. Nobody's going to look over your shoulder and say, no, you can't do that." Hey, you know.
Oh, right. Okay. Next time I get a capital ship, I'll make sure. Is that for detection then?
That's for your detection roll, yeah. The one that you rolled 6 on and should have added 3, which would have made you fail, and you ignored that rule.
Well, I can recon it if you want. If it really means that much to everyone, I'll set my tonnage to 0. I'll start it again. I don't mind. What do you want me to do?
I just want you to follow the rules, man. That's all.
I know Steeler fan, but that's the fun. I can't see the problem is that you're trying to play the game. You've got to look at the screen, and yeah, you're looking at the screen, and also there's a lag between when you tippy tappy in and when I see it. So what I've got to do is zero down the lag as much as possible. So when you tippy tappy, I get it a couple of seconds later rather than 20 seconds later. I think that's part of the problem. But yeah, I did enjoy it. But if you want me to recon it, I don't mind. I don't mind. I'll do it again. I'll start from Patrol 2 again. I don't care if it really bothers.
It's a challenge. We all play by the same rules. We have to use we all have to use the same U-boat. We all have to use the same rules.
It's obviously a big issue with you. So what I'll do is I'll start again from Patrol 2 on Thursday. How's that?
You were on Patrol 3 because you did 2 patrols. That was the third patrol. So you need to start.
I just want you to follow the rules, man. That's all.
Well, okay. I did as best I could. If I miss rules, you know me, I miss rules out. If I missed them out, apologise, and I'll start again from what is it, 2 or 3?
I tried telling you that. Yeah, you completely ignored me.
I can't.
Oh, Jester, stop being a whatever you British term you use.
They don't like it up, Mr. Mannering. They don't like it up.
See what I got to put up with, Blastpop?
Yeah, I've got to slow down. I've got to slow down.
You know what the old saying goes is, and I was talking to you guys about this offline. You know, the English and the Americans are separated by a common language.
Yes, they are.
They say words that have no meaning. I mean, they just don't have any meaning, but they mean something to them. But like you're like, what? Yeah.
You know, they've been on that island for so many centuries that it's led to some interesting aberrations and changes in the gene pool.
I think so. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's had too much to drink or not enough to drink. I don't know what.
We're still talking about me?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't have the whiskey today. I ran out, so I'll probably be pretty calm this time.
That's good.
So what would everybody like me to do? Start Patrol 3 again?
No, just start from where you're at. We're fine.
You can keep going.
No. Upstairs has got an issue with it.
No, go to 4. Just continue to 4 because you'll probably get sunk by a plane.
That's what I'm hoping. So I can go away and enjoy the game by myself.
Well, I just remember when I did I'm like, I'm going to go. Okay, here we go. Let's move forward. And that live stream was 12 minutes long.
Yeah.
So like right in the Bay of Biscay, I was
not that big a deal, but it's still when you get into a competitive challenge with somebody, you should try to understand the rules and play by the rules, not just you were all excited about this.
I had a great time. But you just used the word we've not ever used before, competitive. It was co-op. I thought we were. But yeah, I'll do whatever you like. You know,
just start from 4 and just remember your next capital ship. Add the +1.
Hethel's quite right. I get all sort of stressed and I get excited and all that. So what I'm going to do is take some Valium and half a bottle of gin and I'll be fine. And what I'll do is I'll put the lag back as far as possible. So you never know, though. Could I be doing this on purpose to give my sort of my personality? You see, I don't know. You don't know, do you? I could be doing this on purpose so we get the feedback like we do. I'm not that clever. No, it's all right.
You know, you need 3 straight men to keep rough swordsmen in line there. I'll tell you.
He's a full-time job. I swear. I don't know.
I'm a full-time. That's what the wife says.
I know he is. He's been heavy to carry for the last year and a half. I've been carrying him, and now he's like, he gets in this challenge, and then he was all. You were the one that wanted to do the challenge.
I'm having great fun. I'm having great fun.
You don't seem like you're having fun doing it.
I am.
You're stressed out. You're getting gray hair.
I'm not yet.
There's a couple stubbles that I see.
Huh?
I see a couple stubbles coming out. They're gray. You don't seem like you're having fun. You were all excited about this. Yeah.
I was having fun. Who didn't think I wasn't having fun? I just get all stressed and excited and forget rules. That's what I'm like. I can't help it. Have we finished?
You ever play the Hunters, Blastpop?
Pardon?
Do you ever play the Hunters?
Oh yeah, I was playing recently. Matter of fact, I was going to do something on my channel, and the first campaign I did, I got through 5 or 6 missions. I was doing really nice. I was probably in June of 1940, and I'm proceeding along, and I run into a capital ship. I run into the Malaya, I believe it is, and I sink the thing after putting 4 torpedoes into it. And then, oh, this is great. I can't lose now. I'm invincible. I'm ironclad. Well, next mission, out of God's hands comes a float plane, I guess, whatever it was, and drops a torpedo or a bomb on me, and I sink right to the bottom. I mean, you go from the height of wonder and beauty, and you walk on water, and all of a sudden you're under it permanently. I mean, and I can't imagine playing the Hunters, because that's just like for a masochist, So
the Hunted. You mean the Hunted?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, the Hunted. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
That looks like
the Hunters is hard. The Hunted is twice as hard.
Yeah, I love submarine games, and I published a submarine game, and so to me it's like one of my main interests, right, in the hobby.
Oh, really? So I was going to ask you what's your favorite era to wargame is? Is it World War II, modern day, ancient time, Napoleonic? What's your favorite?
Yeah, my favorite area originally was Eastern Front World War II.
Ancient time.
And I'm getting feedback here.
That was me. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so anyway, it was Eastern Front World War II. And then when I was a kid, I read the 20th Maine by Poulin. And I immediately became a fan of the Civil War, the 20th Maine, Gettysburg. So I went through a period of a lot of Gettysburg. I'm into Ancients. And then once I got married, my son, his name is Joshua, after Joshua Chamberlain of the 20th Maine. So, I mean, yeah, so it's just one of those things where, you put history in front of me and I love it. Submarines, planes. I was the founder and first owner of Compass Games. And
really?
Yeah. So I sold that to my partners. And so, and now my big thing is I'm the assistant chair of a local board of education. And so I'm deep into public service. So, I have my irons in a lot of different fires.
You didn't know that, did you?
No.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I started this all back in 1973. So I've been playing war games. Yeah.
I was going to say,
Anybody alive in 1973 besides me?
I was alive.
No.
Oh, okay. No?
Yeah. Rough
got about 4 years, and then I would have been.
Baby.
I know. I said I feel young in this group.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's a young guy like you doing playing war games?
Actually, I'm in a group that has a couple of 20-year-olds that play. So, yeah. The whole idea of the graying, and we kind of mentioned this off before, it's not there. Now, are they the one comment that was on that video that was on CSW said they're old, gray, and overweight, and I think the first two are misnomers. The third one, you can get a you can kind of get a little bit of that true. So
I'm all three.
See, well, no, Ruff, you're only gray right here and not up here, so you can kind of hide that a little. If you took that off, you'd hide that. But
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I am actually the oldest one here, I think. But there we go.
Damn old farts. Jeez, welcome to the club.
Yeah, I tell you, the chat is brutal with us, man.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, if it's bad enough me getting hauled over the coals by Jester, because RV hunters, this lot here, you know, they're just as bad in the chat. They don't hold back, do they, Tony?
No, I saw that you put up that you're going. So I got home from school and my wife was home that day. I said, we're going for a walk because I'm going to make sure I am on that video from moment one, making sure I give proper instructions. And this
I know it's my fault not looking at the chat. I know, but I did slow down a bit and go, oh, I'm just going to catch up on the chat.
I'll say one thing. Thanks, Steeler fan. One thing I will say, it went a lot smoother. Since you slowed down, it went a lot smoother than your first one did.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking for the chat while playing. I mean, you get so into the game and into that narrative that sometimes you forget that there's people watching.
There's people watching. Yeah, you do. You do forget. And yeah, but it's great fun. And thank you if you're in the chat. And of course, a lot of you were there on Thursday. Thank you so much. I had quite a few people watching. There must have been nothing on the telly. And then it went down because Coronation Street EastEnders was on, and then it came back up again. So yeah, I was well amazed at the amount of people.
We have no clue what you just said.
Yeah, but the people in my part of the world do.
I was on for that. They're like, "Oh, EastEnders," you're like, because it went down and up. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun because it's like you wish you could just talk to him while he's playing. Like, no, it's the hole. You move the flooding. It's the hole.
Tony, what we could do is we could fit you up on mic, so you could be my angel on the shoulder there, and go. By the way, rough. No, yeah, we would do that.
Well, I was waiting for the whole time for Jester to show up, and obviously he was working, so that
that's a first, yeah.
But I was like, maybe he's like Beetlejuice. If you say his name 3 times, he'll show up.
Oh, God, and you did, and he did.
It took him a while. It must have got caught through whatever paranormal vortex he arrives through. But
then the nightmare began.
Right at the end of the game.
The nightmare was me trying to help you out. That's the nightmare.
Yeah, but that's it. I'll have to get Tony on the old mic on the old disc. Can you do it through Discord or something? Can't you, or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can shut up because I know what you like, but whisper. Rough, no, hole.
Have your cell phone and hooked up to the Discord with a piece in your ear, just
yelling at you. All right. What I'll do. So you live and learn, don't you? This time was a little bit better than the last time, and I'm getting hooked. I'm thinking, I'm going to do some counter clipping. Which Aardwolf invented, and counter clipping live, a la Aardwolf. Yeah, no, I've got my metal ones. I've broken 2 of them, and just sit there and talk nonsense. He gets away with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was I want to do some more live streaming, and with school finally getting back into kind of a routine. Finally, I was thinking about doing live stream Fridays after I get home from school because I usually have about an hour and a half before the house gets loud. So just do a live stream on Friday and use Tabletop Simulator. I've got to get some of my top 10 games actually onto the table and stop playing other stuff.
There's things happening. I've had stuff delivered from Lock and Load. Thank you very much, Lock and Load. And I've got to do openings for those, but you think I've got to do those. And I've also want to get Tripoli, Shores of Tripoli, because I watched OG's run through again, and I'm thinking, yeah, this looks fun. And as the boy is now interested in war games, you might have to go at that Well,
you got to give an update on that.
Oh, well, we played for 3 hours, like I said, and then he had lots of work because he's breaking up for half term. So he had some work coming in online. He's online most of the day. And then I came down. I thought, yeah, we'll have a game. And I knocked the table. But, oh, God, no. So I had to put it all back again. And we're playing Great Battles of History, Blastpop, Infidel. It's his first war game. And so I set it all back. And I said, I've got some bad news. You fancy playing the game? Yeah, Dad, yeah. I thought, oh, good. I said, I've knocked the table. I've got to reset it. And he went, that's all right. Start again. So we had a go today. And, yeah, he's not doing so well this time, though. Wiped the smile off his face because in the first bit, he was crashing his knights into me archers and having a whale of a time. And but now they were either not charging. He was moving and then charging. And then some of his horses said, no, we're not charging. So they refused. So, yeah, it's great. And he's looking at this thing here and thinking, oh, there's little wooden stuff on the thing and all that. But it's a simpler game, isn't it? So I said to him, I said, once you know these sort of games with stuff on the counters, you'll be well away. Any game, it's got more numbers on it, just means more numbers. So, yeah, touch wood. It's great fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. Speaking of getting people in the younger generation, so I saw David Heath was on. So Lock and Load Publishing was on. So
yeah, I did.
Yep, he sent my war game group, and I had mentioned for my school to set up a war game group, and I've actually got my boss involved in it, and I'm teaching him how to play tank versus tank, tank on tank. So he's like, I better not get into this or else I'll start spending money. And I'm like, ooh, I got him. I got him. I got that hook. Now I just got to reel it.
Shiny boxes.
Yeah.
There's the man right there. There he is.
So thanks a lot, David. It will get played immensely. I have a feeling. I'm getting, me and my boss are playing during lunches going forward, or at least that's my hope. So,
well, you got to buy your boss a game or two just so that you get on his good side.
I've got plenty at school, so yeah, definitely. So.
It's good for your career advancement.
Yeah. Oh, and my boss is really good too. I really like him too. So, for sure.
What do you teach?
Actually, history, American history, econ, and government. I teach sophomores and juniors. So.
Yeah. Well, really, when you play your son again, you need to let him win.
I'm trying, but he's doing a rough swordsman dice throwing session. Oh,
it's where the dice gods are killing him. Well, check out the dice and get some new dice.
That's what I said, and then suddenly he started throwing 8s all the time, and I'm thinking, I'm going to change that die over, I tell you. But no, he's having great fun. But after about 2 hours, because he's not used to it, it's quite mentally straining to play a game and think what you've got to do. Because they're thinking now, what should I do with these men? And I'll go, watch out, I've got some knights on, I've got some horses on the flanks there. Watch for them, they might come. Oh, yeah. So after a couple of hours, I said, you had enough? He went, yeah. And then, but tomorrow, hopefully we'll get back to it. So yeah, but yeah, thank you. Look, I've had that turn up like Jester. Yeah, so I've got to do an unbagging of that. I've done an unbagging of the space infantry, which this is the problem. Yeah, this is the problem. My top 10. I'm thinking I want to have a go at that now after watching OG. And they also sent me the new player aids for Lock and Load Tactical, and the new admin counters. These none of this is available, I don't think, in the UK. So we're waiting for Second Chance Games to get it. So they're the new admin counters for Lock and Load Tactical. You can't see them. I'll do an undubry on it so you can see.
American Contraband. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was
Lock and Load. Lock and Load hooked everyone up for us, and we do appreciate them. And so, yeah, thanks for all of our. I keep getting these packages, And the wife's like, "Oh, you got a package today." I'm like, "I didn't order anything, not recently." And then I see it's from Lock and Load, so I'm like, "Oh, what do we got?" Blastpop. So you are a special guest. We're not here to ignore you, by the way.
Oh, that's okay. That's normal. So,
your favorite game you played last year? Why? Which game was it and why?
So many games, so little time. Advanced Squad Leader. Advanced
Squad Leader. Okay.
Yeah, I've been playing that since it first came out. I remember going to Origins of 1985, I believe it was. It came out. They didn't have the rules book, but they had the box of counters and scenarios and the maps. And so for Christmas of 1985, I got from my parents. I got the Advanced Squad Leader rules book, and I've been playing it ever since. So it's my all-time favorite. I'll play that a dozen times a year, probably.
Does it take over your life? Do you get all the modules?
Yeah, follow-up question for that. Are you going to pay the $60 for the PDF version of it?
Well, I have a good buddy of mine who already has, and he says it's very well worth it because you can search it. It's hot linkable, and I haven't seen it yet, and he says it's very much worth it. And I have an iPad, which is what I'm using for this video, and it's convenient. Instead of having this big honking rules book that you have to hold out and try to read through it and go through all the pages, that to me is worth $60.
I was just curious. That's all. Because that was kind of one of those things. Like, I play ATS just because I like the impulse system. Company sucks, by the way. I already know that, but the system's pretty good. And we had gotten, when you buy the rule book, you actually get the PDF automatically. So that's kind of cool. I'm hoping MMP will do the same thing eventually as well. They'll let that happen too. So I was just curious what you thought about that. And definitely being able to search for a rule is pretty awesome. Other than like ATS is critical hit, so if you look for a critical hit, it's on every page.
Yeah. I used to play some ATS, and then I got just tired of them reselling the same game over and over again in different forms, different editions. So I got a little bit tired of that, and I just decided to really get back into Advanced Squad Leader. And I play just about everything, but that's my all-time favorite, and I keep going back to that. As far as other games are concerned, what I'm playing right now, it's on my table right now from GMT, and that's a really good game. It was designed by Ted Racer, published by XTR back in the early 90s, and it's just one of those classic games you can pick up, read the rules, play fairly easily. So it's right up my alley, and because I have so many irons in the fire, I find that I can play a game in a fairly short period of time and move on to the next thing. And so as I'm getting older, I'm finding games that require less time and the commitment works really well for me. And that's along with the solitaire games, they really fit the bill for me.
There's a question from Chris in the chat. Blastpop, what's your favorite East Front game?
Oh boy. Well, my original old time favorite was Panzerblitz. That just seemed to have excellent flavor. Right now, my current probably is the East Front series by GMT Games, which is the Vance von Bory series, where you've got the Barbarossa from Army Group North to Army Group South, and you got the Kiev to Rostov, and then you also the Typhoon, which is going to be redone in a relatively near future once Vance gets done with the tax season. And so those are my East Front go-tos. Panzer Group Guderian, I love Panzer Group Guderian. I played that a ton. I played Russian Campaign. I used to play that in tournament. So put an Eastern Front game in front of me, and that's where my heart is.
A lot of people love their East Front games, don't they? And
and I don't understand why. I don't know if it's because it's brutal.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's because it's brutal. It's because of the opposing systems, the vastness of the terrain, the equipment. You got the T-34s, you got the Panthers, you got the KVs. It just it just got, Cossacks, you got cavalry, you got security troops, you got partisans, you got sieges like the Sevastopol, Stalingrad. I mean, wargaming doesn't get as rich on one front as anywhere other than the Eastern Front in comparison. So, winter weather, Uncle Joe, Katushkas, Uncle Adolf. I mean,
Tank Riders.
the personalities, you name it. It's got everything.
There's another question here. I can't answer it because I don't play them, but Grumbling Grognard has asked, best multiplayer game, 3 or more, historical war game that can be completed in one sitting. Any thoughts, chaps?
Punta.
I
remember playing that down at the War Game Club, and I think we had a number of 3-player games of that. Well, it's kind of semi-historical. It's about a banana empire, banana country in South America, where one guy's the El Presidente, and the other guy's the defense minister, and the other guy is like so you all got your own little capabilities, and you go after each other, and you try to become El Presidente for life. But I think that was a good 3-player game.
I would say in one sitting you could do Cuba Libre.
I'm going to say the coin games, yeah.
Not all of them. Some of them are quite lengthy, but in one sitting, I think you can knock out Cuba Libre, and I think I did it in less than 3 hours with a buddy of mine in person. So you can start really getting rolling on that for sure.
You can play pretty much any of the coin games as long as the people taking their turn know what they're doing and just take their turn. I mean, they're not that long and they're not that complex. You're basically playing a card, doing an event, or you're putting pieces and then taking pieces off the board. It literally only takes 30 seconds to do your turn.
Yeah, especially because most likely that you're going to be going, your faction is going to be going.
Yeah, and if you play with multiple people, you got a couple of minutes to think about your turn before it actually comes up. So it could actually play pretty good as long as you got people that want to play it. So for those of you who are just joining us or don't know, Blastpop is actually a YouTuber. You've been YouTubing now for quite a few years. So why don't you talk a little bit about your channel, what you do, your format you use, what kind of videos you produce and stuff like that. So people that maybe aren't familiar with your channel, maybe they'll come on over and check it out.
Okay. My channel is the Blastpop channel. I primarily do historical war games because of the availability of time and the fact that I'm not a big fan of editing videos. I tend to do mostly shrink wrap openings, some after action reports, and just what happens to interest me in the particular time. I do this from a perspective of having been a wargamer for about 45 years. And the idea is to basically help me maintain my interest in the hobby in a way that also generates interest for other people in the hobby as well. I do a couple other odds and ends. I do some trains because I'm a train rail fan. I also do other kinds of videos like a little bit like Warhammer here and there. But I'm historically based, and it's more fun for me, and I do it as I find the time. I'm not a professional, nor do I intend to do this to make money. I do it for the love of the hobby.
You get quite a bit of variety, which is nice. A lot of people like to see a lot of different things and check out a lot of different things, so that's cool. What do you think of SPQR?
Oh, I played that. I remember first starting out in the Alexander game when it first came out. It was in Origins '91. I was talking to Gene Billingsley and Mark Herman, and I had a long talk with them about that. And then with Romans coming out, I got the first edition, and I've been playing it off and on ever since over the decades. It's probably the best single war game in the ancient tactical realm. a lot of dice rolling, and it is kind of complicated. But once you learn it, it moves along pretty well. So yeah, that's one of my favorites as well. So you put a game out there, it's probably I've played it at one point or another. If people have an addictive personality with certain things, well, wargaming is my addiction. There's no question about it, and I do have an addictive personality when it comes to that. It's cardboard crack.
Yeah, we're all the same. I think I never thought it would happen again, but yeah, you're right. It's a rabbit hole, isn't it?
Oh yeah. But my wife says I could be down the bar, blowing $1,500 a night.
I do both.
Right. The wives, they complain about us gaming, and then they talk to their friends about their husbands, and oh, my husband, he's home and he's playing games and blah blah blah, and the other wife says, oh well, my husband's down at the bar, hanging out with the guys all night. So which would you rather have?
I think wargaming is wargaming is our mistress, isn't it? Really, we're all of a certain age now where we get a motorbike or a mistress, or we play war games. So it's great. She knows where I am all the time. Unfortunately, for her. What'd you say? You're going to get a motorbike?
Whoa!
Well, I can tell you, I've had some of these long gaming sessions where I've been up for like 44 hours straight playing games. And I was over a buddy's house. This was probably back around 1984, 1985. And I can't exactly remember what the game was, but it might have been like 1830 or 1829, one of the railroad games. And this guy was a big inveterate war gamer. He was sort of taught me the ways of wargaming when I was still a youngster. And I can remember we had this 4-player game, and we were playing it. We started probably around 6 p.m. in the evening, and we kept going. And it was in the summer, and we were playing it and playing and playing it. It was getting on in the course of the night, and and all suddenly it's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we're moving our pieces and doing our trades and all so on and so forth. And all of a sudden, perfect timing, I hear a bird chirping. And all of a sudden, we all lift our heads. And it's about like 6 in the morning. We all fell asleep simultaneously at the war game table, playing a game. And we're all like looking around. And then we just proceeded to continue like nothing happened at all. It was one of those moments. I mean, it's just like everybody just like fell asleep like a group trance. And then we finished up. I think we finished up by about 9 a.m. and then we all went home. And God, it's one of those times where you just can't believe what you just did.
Yeah, I remember in high school. That just reminds me when I was in high school, we would play Axis and Allies, and we literally watched the sun go down, played all night, and watched the sun come up the next morning. I couldn't do that now, but but I remember me and 3 of my buddies just sitting there all night long, just playing Axis and Allies, and yeah.
Which edition of Axis and Allies, can I ask?
That was in the mid '90s, so I have no idea.
Okay, that would have been the Milton Bradley version. Well,
Milton Bradley. Yeah,
I've got a history with that game. I play tested the original Nova Games version of it. In Connecticut, and I did it when the game was originally at a odds combat system before Joe Angilio designed the current combat system where you roll the dice and you hit on a 1 if you're an infantry or what have you. And then I play tested it when it went to Milton Bradley before it was published. I was a playtester from Milton Bradley, and then I rewrote I rewrote the second edition rules for the second edition for Milton Bradley of the game that was published when I was still in the big box edition. And then I play tested the Fortress America, Shogun.
Those were, other than Fortress America, yeah, we played. Those were the 2 we played. Was Axis and Allies and Shogun were the 2 that we played the most.
Yeah, and then I tested was it Conquest of the Empire, and I also play tested their version of Titan, which never got published because they got rid of all the first level creatures in that, and then yeah, I was a regular at Milton Bradley with the testing department with Mike Gray.
No,
is there anything you
haven't done? Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you haven't done or no or?
No, I've pretty much been around the block once or twice. I've published games. I've published games. I tested them. I've developed them. I've, I was president of my wargame club for about 35 years. So,
you play tested one of my favorite games. I've only scratched the surface of it, and I'm falling back in love with these old games. It's the old Tokyo Express.
Oh yeah,
you were
favorite of mine.
Yeah, but have you played Escape from Colditz?
In all the years that I've played war games, that's one of the few games I've never played. You found a kink in my armor, man. It looks like it's fantastic, and for one reason, I never had the money on me at the time. Nobody was interested in playing it when they brought it to the Wargame Club, and it didn't get played. They played something else instead. And it looks fantastic. The premise of it, it looks like it's dripping with theme. Tell me more.
My father wanted to get me into wargaming. He was playing Squad Leader and Sealov, I forget how to pronounce it, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm going, it's a bit hard, isn't it? So I got Escape from Colditz. Fantastic game, and that's it. I was into gaming. And it's a brilliant game, and I see it on eBay and I think, should I get it again just for old time's sakes? But the thing is, they say never meet your heroes, don't they? So I'm worried if I get it and play it and I think, oh, bit of old, it's not so good now.
Bit of nostalgia,
I'm keeping it back there and playing games with people. I mean, since I got back into gaming and started the channel and all that sort of thing, it's been solitaire, and then the coof kicked in and all that sort of thing. But twice now. The first time we played Tank Duel with Mike and us three, it's a completely different feeling and fantastic playing with people and bouncing off each other and them laughing at me because I get a crappy card or something, or die roll or card turn, and playing with my son. It's been
and Mike makes him play by all the rules.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, it's all right. But yeah, playing with my son as well, it's like completely different than playing solitaire. But solitaire is great, but it's a completely different thing playing with people. Different emotions happen. It's great. But yeah, Escape from Colditz. Yeah.
I haven't played it yet, but it reminds me of.
Did you watch our live stream?
Yes, I did actually. Yeah, I was cracking up. You guys had me laughing. My wife was hearing me. My wife was hearing me cackling while you were playing, and she thought I was drinking something.
Yeah, we're getting episode 2. In fact, we were planning on the Sunday to play, but I forgot Valentine's Day is Sunday, so we have to reschedule it. So hopefully we'll get episode 2 in. Ruff can get his revenge on me for blowing his tank up.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? Yeah. I love the idea of the game because it's Eastern Front.
Yeah.
But there's North Africa coming out and lots of expansions and things.
Yeah. Get your pre-order expansions in now, boys. Get your pre-order expansions in now.
But where are they?
I'm looking forward to Mike's new game, the Wolfpack one. We're
going to have a live stream on that before it releases, so everyone can check it out. Mike's already promised us a pre-sneak peek at it. So,
have you upset Tony?
I don't think it was me.
Oh, it's me again, is it? Yes, it's always me. Blastpop, as you notice, it's always me. So yeah, lots to be looking for. Yeah, get it right. You got to get it right. you know. So
Oh, Mike Butticelli says his APCR is loaded and ready to go.
All right.
So you don't have to think about, if you can think of something right off the top of your head, but if you want to think about this question, because it's kind of one of those tricky ones. So game you played in, let's say, the last 3 or 4 years that you think is like one of these hidden gems that nobody talks about, nobody plays it, not a lot of information online about it. And you think, wow, if I could have one game that I could tell somebody, you got to check this game out. And this is why. Like I said, if you can think of something great, if you want to think about it, that's fine. It's always fine. I'm always looking for those hidden gems that people go, oh, this is one of these games nobody ever plays, but it's really, really good.
it doesn't matter if it's an old game, because you know me. What you got? What you got there?
From a few years ago, this game came out and it was extremely hot. Everybody was playing it, and then GMT, I don't know if they had a short print run. It just did really well, and it hasn't been reprinted. But I think this is absolutely one of the fantastic games of the last several years.
It's coming out again. I've got it on P5.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's so good, and I played it a crap ton. And if I was Gene Billingsley, I'd be just keeping the print press going, unless there's something they think that the depth of interest isn't as much as us gamers thinks it is. It's a solitaire game. It's an air game. It does it from a perspective of the German side, which it hasn't been done. Every time you play bomber games, you play the Americans or the British, which is fine. But, in the end, if you take a look at the way the numbers work for the air war, the Germans were the underdog, despite the heavy losses that the bombers took. And trying to attack those boxes of bombers, trying to get through the machine guns, the cannons, trying to keep up in the technology war. It's fantastic. I can't recommend that highly enough. And it just disappeared. Once people got their copies, I don't know if they're playing it solitaire and they're playing it to the exclusion of everything else, because I'm not hearing anybody talking about it. And it just disappeared off the radar. It just sank out, into the abyss. Yeah.
But they are reprinting it, and I mean, Blue Tweezers in the chat did a great playthrough, and that's what piqued my interest in it. So I've ordered it, and also the new one from the British point of view, the RAF point of view, the new one coming out. Storm Above the Reich, is it called? Or
yeah.
So yeah.
So that one fits that category, too many games, too little time. So I mean, I'm sure there are other gems as well.
I can see you got Battle of the Bulge. I can see you got Battle of the Bulge up there. Panzer Grenadier. Do you like a Panzer Grenadier? I do.
Oh yeah, I used to play a ton of Panzer Grenadier, both face to face and solitaire. And I had a buddy here who moved back to California, and before he did, we were playing weekly. We were playing Panzer Grenadier, and we were playing the Big Eastern Front scenarios, obviously. So that's. But I haven't played it in a number of years, so sadly, that's gone off my playlist.
Ah well. Blue Tweezers says Flashpoint Golan. That I've been looking at that, but I've heard, I think Cannondale was playing it and he wasn't too impressed with it. That's the Mark Herman game, isn't it? Flashpoint Golan.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm because you can pick it up pretty reasonably if you wait and wait for something to sell it at a reasonable price. But because of that, what do you think of it, Blue Tweezers? You obviously like it, of course, but what do you think, Blastpop? You played it?
I played it back probably about 94, 95. I think it came out in the early 90s under Victory Games, and it was a Mark Herman design. Yeah. I thought it was rather rule intensive. I had a set of crappy die-cut counters with it, and I don't think I gave it a fair shot. Mark Herman's a great designer, and just about everything he designs is A1. But in the end, I never gave it the length of play like I've done some of his other works. For instance, Over My Shoulder, gotta get used to this, is Stonewall. That was one of the first work. And that's a fantastic little civil war game. Stonewall, the Battle of Kernstown.
Say that again, Blastpop. You cut out there.
Oh, it's Kernstown. Kernstown by SPI is one of Mark Herman's first designs. Really good, terrible sword system. So, the big triumvirate, I think, in war games is Mark Herman, John Butterfield, and probably John Hill. I mean, those guys, you couldn't have a game with that from them that wasn't excellent or, class A. Nothing that they did was poorly done.
What about the chap that did the Fleet series and the other one? Oh. Bloody table's in the way. Bukowski.
Fantastic game. It's not an easy reach here, but I do have a copy. And
yeah,
I think I did it on my channel.
But he's done some great stuff. He did the Fleet. Did he do the Fleet series as well?
Yes, as well as the great campaigns of the American Civil War series. I play tested the first game in that series, Stonewall Jackson's Way, and me and my group did it. And matter of fact, we were the only blind testers for that game, and we had suggested a number of changes to it, and that have more or less held up over the years. And unfortunately, that system has suffered from rules creep. In other words, it started out fairly simple. There were some obvious problems with the game, that they corrected, through subsequent additional playtesting. But, they kept adding rules. And now you got a rules book that's like, the standard rules and the special rules. Instead of being like 20, 25 pages, you're up to 45, 50, 60 pages. And it's clarifications and add-ons. But, some of the old games are simple and they're playable, and you can play them in a reasonable amount of time. You didn't have to spend a lot of time reading rules, and you can go from game to game. And that is part of the barrier to entry to a lot of games, unless you are familiar with the game and have somebody who you've played against in the past who is familiar with the game and will teach you how to play. And I enjoy the reading rules book, and my wife thinks that's some kind of perversion. But even then, I only have so much time in the course of a day to read and do everything else in life. And when you start pushing rule books that are 30, 40, 50 pages, to not only read them, but to understand them and try to understand the implications of what's being discussed there. So I think there's a value in simplicity, in familiarity, that a lot of people think, you need to add to make it better. And I'm a firm believer in Occam's, I believe it's called Occam's Law, which basically you cut everything down to the essence and to the basic levels. And there you've got the sublime elegance of what you're trying to achieve, because less is more.
Yeah, and reading books in bed, that's the only time I get to read rules, really. So I say I'm going to bed early tonight, love. And bless her, her eyes light up, and I get upstairs and then get the PDF out, and she turns over with the ump. So but that's the only time I get to read them.
And the problem with that, there's a value in finding a time to read them, but then you fall asleep and you forget half of what you read. I mean, or you don't have the opportunity. You don't have the opportunity to put into usage what it is you just read.
But that's the thing. I need to read rules. I need to read rules 2 or 3 times. It's the way I do it. So even if I'm reading it in bed and not taking it in, some of it's going in there in the sort of unfocused way. So when I read it again, it's not so unfamiliar as the time before. I just have to read rules and rules. I still get them wrong, as people tell me, no uncertain terms. That's how I do it. Yeah.
I think a couple of your pages stick together. So
probably, or they, More like my copy of Tokyo Express, it was misprinted. Victory Games were known for it. They did in-house printing, didn't they? So I've got
Avalon
ones with duplicate pages. Avalon Hill, yeah. I've got ones with duplicate pages. So I had to source the standard rules from somewhere else.
Right.
But yeah, crazy reading rules.
You know what's interesting? I have a buddy who also played tested the game Tokyo Express, and his father was aboard the Laffey, I believe it was. If I could have been wrong, which is one of the submarine destroyers that were in the game, and his father, who fought in the Tin Can fleet and participated in some of those battles, actually reviewed and critiqued that game before he passed away. So that game.
You guys notice how much more we can actually get done and talk about when Tony's not here?
The better off we are.
Right.
I mean, we literally did more in the last 5 minutes than the first 45 when Tony was here.
So old games, Blastpop. I've fallen back in love with them, as you can see from a little bit of stuff up there. I think Jester, they've had their time, blah blah blah, and that's fine. Everybody's got their point of view. But what's your take on, the old Victory Games? I love Victory Games. I'm finding them and I'm seeing people like you do unboxings of Korea saying it's a great game. So what do? I remember it from the past and I think, I'll get a copy. And they're great, aren't they? I think they're great, these old games.
Yeah. Well, my take was I remember when SPI closed up shop in 1982, 1983. And a lot of the guys went from SPI down to Avalon Hill, which later became Victory Point Games. You had Mark Herman, who became president of Victory Games. You had John Butterfield. You had some of the R&D people, the graphics people. Forgive me for some of the designers if I forget which ones they were that went directly from SPI to Victory Games. And they took everything they learned at SPI and they came up with their own set of way of publishing rules. They took everything that they learned at SPI and basically made a SPI 2.0. It was the Avalon Hill's solution to SPI without SPI being, no longer being there. The only thing they didn't have was Redmond Simonson, who was just a graphical genius of the time. And so they came up with games that that they were designing when SPI went under. And so you just had this great, grouping of people. It was like a heady day or times for war game design. And they took everything and synthesized it, made it better from what they had done previously. And I mean, you end up with Civil War, you had Gulf Strike, you had Tokyo Express, you had Korea, you had the Fleet Series, the Carrier. I mean, pound for pound, game for game, for a company that's published games, they had far fewer. John Butterfield had Highway to the Reich, Hell's Highway.
Yeah,
you had just pound for pound and game for game. You had more out of the park hits with their games than just about anybody else. And they did it extremely well. Excellent graphic presentation for the day. It's clear, it's readable. You could read the rules, you could understand the rules. Everything was logical. They had good editing. I think any war game company should try to emulate what they did in their own sort of way that fits their needs, because they took it to the next level of professionalism. And the only company right now that I see that is anywhere near that, and maybe not quite there, is GMT Games. Now, GMT Games comes out with excellent graphics and products and stuff like that, and not to denigrate them, but I just think that the stable of games at Victory Games, I should say, was par excellence, and nothing's really quite on the money as they were. Now, graphically, new games are nicer nowadays, but given the design criteria and the age that they were in, by far I think they were the best that everybody should look to as being inspiration for their efforts going forward.
But I love them because when you look at an old game and get it out, you're back there, aren't you? The colours of the map, the counters. that's not a problem. The other thing I love about those games, and a couple of games are like that, is that they taught you some rules and then said, right, play this. There'd be for instance, Tokyo Express, you'd read the basic rules and that will get you into the movement and a bit of combat, and then you'd read some of the standard rules and implement them as you went along. Carrier, you read some rules, now play this scenario. Right, you've done that, now read some more rules and now play this scenario. I can see it on your shelf. Starship Trooper was another game that did that. Read these rules, play this scenario. I wish a few more game companies would do that, especially if they're a complex game.
Yeah, Avalon Hill, I think, first pioneered it in wargaming, I think with Tobruk. And then they later did it with like Starship Troopers. They did it with Squad Leader, the original Squad Leader, and so on. And I mean, you know, if you're teaching somebody like your son, as an example, I think that's an excellent way to get your son into wargaming. But, you know, the problem with it is if you're an experienced wargamer and you've seen a lot of this before and you're going through the rules and you kind of follow their format, sometimes beginning scenarios are less than interesting.
Yeah,
and it could prevent you from exploring an otherwise fine game, you know, going forward with it. So, I mean, it has its place. Now, a game like Tokyo Express, you know, when
no, don't go. Oh, right.
Yeah, no, it's just my wife put in a new router, and I'm not quite sure what's going on. So,
you're just about to say something interesting about Tokyo Express, and you cut out. No, start again.
Yes,
yeah,
so Tokyo Express. When I was testing it, we had that program instruction. There is an awful lot of rules to get you to that point, but in terms of the sheer amount of rules and effort learning the game, you'll find that you've learned most of it, what you need to know to play in the basic rules. A lot of the additional stuff is detection, the night rules, the movement of forces, and so on and so forth. But you know, you've got like 85% of what you need to play. And you know, John Southard, who was the designer, was a very complete rules writer, and you know, he interspersed with his notes and stuff throughout the rules. And you know, you wouldn't be lost in learning his games, but you know, they were kind of a bit longer than they needed to be. So in the end result is you have a very complete product, but something that takes a long time to learn, you know.
And is it a good idea? I think counterproductive games is playing. It was weird because we were doing it at the same time. That somebody told me we were both doing playthroughs at the same time. I didn't know, but he's gone on to play the standard game, but he's not the full standard game. He's plopping in a bit of a rules, learning that bit, playing the standard. Is that a good way to do that with Tokyo Express? Because there's a heck of a lot of rules.
Yeah. Well, when I first started playing it years ago, and when I've gone back since, I'll play some of the basic game scenario for a couple turns, and then I just put everything back, the rest of the rules into the game, because the game is meant to be played with all its advanced and optional rules.
Sure, yeah.
And it really, the rules overhead isn't that difficult. As you know, it's like, you know, it's explaining how the movement roses work and that kind of thing. It isn't as difficult. Pardon me. So,
but it's a great game. So yeah, I want to get back one day and play the standard game and video that. You know, it's just a great game. And Carrier, what do you think about the re-release because it's not the same game, it's in a different area? What do you think about that, John Southard doing that with Compass Games, isn't it?
Yeah, my former company. Well, no, I think that it's a great game system, but the battles of Carrier are the main battles, the most interesting battles of the war in the Pacific. I think this one might be for the Marianas Turkey Shoot. I'm not 100% sure. And while John Southard will make a wonderful game and something that's complete and playable and that kind of thing, the battles are just inherently less interesting. They're less balanced. There's, you know, the Americans have the advantage of the radar. You know, in search procedures, the Japanese are desperate in trying to to stave off the Americans, and it's not exactly a balanced situation. Now, war is never balanced.
No,
but it just inherently, the battles, Coral Sea, Santa Cruz, those battles are just, classics. And the war was already won and decided by the time the later carrier battles went on. Not saying that there's not some value in them or interest in them, and something that we really haven't seen too much in the past. But that's particularly the reason why we haven't seen them in the past, is because of the relative imbalance and but I'm sure there's a good game in there, given John Southern's design capabilities.
and I'm looking forward to it. But why do you think they didn't just redo the original carrier?
My guess is that they couldn't get the rights, because it's owned by Hasbro, and I know a lot of designers who had designs that were with SPI and Avalon Hill, and it requires a real effort to get the rights to republish the games, and so that therein lies the challenge. The one who kind of broke it open was Curt Schilling of Red Sox baseball fame, with his MMP company, getting the rules.
My subscribers.
Yeah, so he was able to open up get the can open for other people. Red Sox fan, hey. You were talking about Selau being the old game that you used to play with your dad, Rough Swordsman, and I mean that's an interesting game. But would anybody want to republish it? Even though Hasbro owns it and probably doesn't even know they got it. And nor do
I've
they
got
care.
it. I bought it. I bought an unboxed version because there's about 3 things in it. There's the map, the counters, and the rules. And I picked it up for a few quid, a few pounds, in a poly bag, completely unpunched. So I've got Selau, and I'm happy with that. Again, it's, from what I remember, it's not a complex game. But because being British and the invasion sea lion, it's and nostalgia, it means a little bit to me, So I'm pleased about that.
And then you have Decision Games, who has a lot of the rights for the old SPI titles, and they've done a mixed approach. They've published games that they've redone, basically redesigned from the bottom up, and they've taken games where they've kind of more or less redid the graphics a little bit and repackaged it up and resold it. And there's, the problem is people say, well, if you republish the game as it was, well, that's great. It's classic. It's got, memories, but the design state of the art has passed it by. Well, that's all well and good. And then you got other people say, well, you should advance state of the art, and you can't please anybody. And Decision Games has a mixed track record. Sometimes they do really well with some of their products, and other products are less than entirely successful, to be charitable to them. And so, and then you got the collector's market, who gets concerned that, well, geez, you're republishing a version of my game that I spent a lot of money on, or I had, and I was hoping to sell for my retirement or something like that. And so no matter what, there's always going to be a devil's advocate in the process. And just to me, the hobby, is so splintered anyway that, I think maybe we should leave the old classic games where they were, and design new games and advance the state of the art. In as much as I love the old games.
But that's what I like to do generally, is source out a game that I think, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and then you sort it out and get it in its, get a nice copy of it, rather than waiting. Although the game we mentioned off camera, the Rise and Decline of the Third Reich, it is hopefully, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying, is hopefully being republished.
Right. Yeah, and Avalanche Press had a version of it that they republished, the Avalanche Press version of it. And when I had started Compass Games, I had brought in Brian Miller, who was one of the principals for Avalanche Press, because he was the designer of Silent War, which was our first published war game when we started the company. And he worked with the guys to republish Third Reich, and I don't think it was less than successful. It didn't have the the air about it or of the original. There was something about Third Reich. It was really the first original theater-wide European game of World War II that was successfully published, in my opinion. And then Avalon Hill published the Advanced Third Reich, and that was good for what it was. But again, it's system and design creep. You have a certain elegance when you keep things simple, and not to denigrate the fact that people absolutely enjoy that game and spend weeks playing it. But that's just not my thing. And if you enjoy that kind of thing, knock yourself out, enjoy it. And I'm not going to, take anything away from you from it. But, the key is that that game went through a lot of development over the years too. And its first edition was you could drive a tank through the rules. The rules were that bad. And then they eventually, they went to the second edition. The third edition, I think they changed the map a little bit and they cleaned it up. In the fourth edition, I think it was merely just redo of the rules. I don't think it was actually said fourth edition on the box like previous editions had their versions. And so I think they, that game could probably be republished today in its latest edition.
Third edition,
upgrade the graphics. It's at its full state of design elegance where it needs to be, rules completeness. Sometimes you touch things and you end up with something less than you started with if you're not careful. And I know Ruff, you'll do a good job with it, if you're going to be working on that. But the point of the matter is tread lightly when it comes to.
Nothing rules wise. It's
it just needs loving care and brought up to date and with like current graphics and that kind of thing, because the game is playable, it's elegant, and I've played it countless times through its various editions myself. So by all means, treat it with respect and love.
Well, it's not. Yes.
Tony, everything okay, Tony?
Yeah, Tony, everything okay?
Yeah, we had some friends stop by that I wanted to talk to.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah, it's all good.
No,
they're leaving. So
sorry, our show got in your way.
Tell you what, I haven't stopped talking since you've left. Poor old Jessica's been sitting there going, "I've been on one." But it's so interesting.
It was the Ruff and Blastpop show here for the last 10 minutes. I've been just sitting here listening to these two. I
figured that's the only way Blastpop would get a word edgewise is if I walked away. Because, you know me. So, hey, Al. Yep, I'm back, Mike. Yeah. No, they came in, so friends of the family. So they just stopped by. So I wanted to talk to them for a little bit. So
you were appropriately COVID spaced, weren't you? 6 feet and with your mask.
Oh yeah, and they're both doctors, so they're already vaccinated. So.
Oh, okay.
It looks like Steeler fans going to be replacing Tony because he understands the process.
I ask a question, he answers it. I wait for a gap, I ask another question. Yeah, see, that's how it works, Tony.
Yeah. See. So really good information. We've just been having a good time talking about. Ruff's had his old nostalgia kick again. I love the old games.
Every time he said,
so wonderful. I have to go back and live my 30s again.
Well, it was every time he's like, "Oh, Blastpop test played this. Oh, Blastpop," it's like. So I figured he would be like, oh, they're two of the feathers because they like the same games and from the same time period. And
doesn't necessarily mean he likes the same games. I assume it's just because the man's done a lot and been there, done it. I'm gonna pick some of that off and learn.
Now, Hex was playing one of the older games that I really want to get on the table, and I have is NATO, Next War in Europe.
It's being redone.
Is that part of your top 10 list there, Tony?
No, it isn't. It's like
okay. Well, then
I don't buy it, but it's being redone.
So I was waiting. Now is a good time before I forget. I have to mention this, right? I have to mention this. So what have I do this week? None of you guys bothered to ask me, and even though I asked you guys, that's okay. I'll find other guests to come on, and maybe they'll be more respectful for their host, you know. So what I was doing was contacting Mike Denson.
What are you doing? What are you doing next week?
There you go. And talking with Mike Denson.
Sorry. Important question. I just thought. We haven't asked, have we? Forgive us. What are you up to next week?
Great idea. Let me get to that now. Wow. You guys are amazing. I tell you. Why do I put up with you two? Next week's show, by the way, is going to be solo. No, me and Blue Tweezers are going to get together. Anyways.
Hold on.
No, go ahead, Blastpop. You're the guest.
I ask a question to Chris Ridley. And actually, my first monster game was War in the East by SPI 1975. I like the big, simple monster games that you can play quickly without having to play a very difficult game as well as being a large game. But I haven't played many in recent years, sadly.
All right. Now, what did I do this week? I contacted Mike Denson about the last 100 yards.
Ugh. You contacted my dentist? Oh, Mike Denson. Dennison, even.
And we wanted to do like a little practice session to make sure, because he lives out in the country and wanted to check his internet connection and stuff. So I have got a live stream Wednesday where you guys can come and learn from the designer.
Oh, sorry.
The last 100 yards.
Sorry, me and Tony are playing Nations at War on Tabletop Simulator Wednesday.
Okay, well, you know, I didn't invite you, so you're not invited. So you two can go do whatever you want.
Get out of here. We'll be there.
No, I don't want you there.
All right,
no.
Fair enough.
Oh, the break.
So yeah, so we're gonna be playing. Let me share my screen here. Yeah, this should be the show. This should be the show. Me talking, showing you guys important information, not all this babbling going on in the background. Right? So we're going to be playing, I don't know if I mentioned this, The Last 100 Yards, Airborne Over Europe by GMT. Designer Mike Denson is going to be coming on with me Wednesday night at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Central Time. He's going to teach you guys how to play The Last 100 Yards.
I'll be up for that for sure. I'm excited about that.
So he is going to talk to us about the game, the design, what makes it different, interesting. And as you can see, I've already downloaded the Vassal module, and we're going to be playing through a scenario. He's already taught this scenario like 70 different times, so it should be an old hat at this. And we should be able to get on and do that. When is
Wednesday.
it, Tony? Wednesday. What time is it going to be?
8 p.m.
Eastern Standard Time. So if you live out in California, what time do you need to be there?
5.
If you live in UK, what time are you supposed to be there?
I have no idea.
Morning.
There you go. So
what do you call that?
Wednesday, 8:00. Have you tried Blastpop? Have you tried The Last 100 Yards yet?
No, I haven't actually. I was wondering if that is that actually a standalone game, or is that a module for the base game?
This is it's a standalone game that expands the main game.
Oh, okay.
So everything is backwards compatible. So you can get this and the original. You can play all the original scenarios. They're just updating the rules.
Chester, I want to know: is it safe?
Is it safe?
Yeah. Is it safe?
Yes, it's safe.
Good. Is it safe? Sorry, it's the dentist thing. Sorry. Marathon man. All right, shut up. Carry on.
So you haven't tried it yet, Blastpop?
No, I haven't. I kind of missed it actually, and then with the fact that there are so many tactical game series out there, it's kind of hard to put your feet in the into the puddle every time something else comes along. I have hard enough time with playing enough ASL and playing a little lock and load here and there and everything else. So I might end up having to pass on that one.
Is it just a 2-player game?
This I believe is.
Yeah, that's what you didn't ask us, Tony.
Yeah, 1 to 2 players.
But it is
solitaire suitability is 6.
Yeah, it's something I've been looking at because you can play it solo. So
yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how you guys get on.
Yeah, Fog of War
looks really good.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a bit of Fog of War which you can work around.
Yeah. And so when I see Fog of War, it just kind of like, there's so many other games that I can play that don't have Fog of War elements that prevent play. So that's not just
really good. So I'm going to keep an eye on it anyway.
Yeah, he was a great guy. We got I did an offline live stream with him, so you guys didn't get to see it. Just got a chance to just talk with him, meet, talk about live stream scheduling and how things go. He doesn't seem very tech savvy, so
but he's met you and wants to do another one.
In fact he said, I don't mind coming on your show as long as I don't have to put up with these other 2 nonsense. And I'm like, I will make sure those 2 are not invited. So
cliche.
So yeah.
Hey, if he can teach Big Board how to play, he can teach Jester.
Yeah, and this would be my second game already on my list that I got from the designer. So now what I have to do is figure out the other 8 games that are on my list and get a hold of those designers. If you are a designer for one of the games on my list, you are to contact me at idjesterlive@gmail.com so we can schedule time so I can play the game that you made. You teach it to me. I get credit for it. I get my 10 off the list. I am number 1 at the end of the year.
Anybody got Richard Berg's email?
Who?
Catafract. What?
Hey, I know a good psychic medium. That might help.
Bless him. So I need
seance.
I'm going to contact John Butterfield.
You better get in contact with somebody. You guys are not doing very good on your list.
I'll tell you what, I have got my mate Herman coming on next month. So watch out for that. It's all gone quiet. What? Flying colors.
I think Blastpop said he was going to get him on here for us. I'm not sure if Ruff can do it, but
I've done it. I've contacted. I know Herman. Blastpop knows him as well. But I contacted him straight back and said, yeah, I'd love to.
Matter of fact, I got his latest Worthington game coming in the mail tomorrow on a Sunday, just in time for Valentine's Day, the Civil War solitaire game.
Oh, speaking of Worthington, I just put down a bunch of money on the new Kickstarter because I got all 3 of them. They put that as
that's a good question, guys. Do you guys do Kickstarter? And obviously, Tony, you do. What about you, ID? Do you do Kickstarters?
I did Kickstarter, but here we go. I don't do Kickstarters anymore because I ran into the piece of crap that is DVG Games, and they screwed up their Kickstarter so bad that I refuse to kickstart anything anymore.
And they haven't fixed it either because I got one of their newest Kickstarter expansions and they still have the same problem. of not matching the card backs, and you can tell which ones are the expansions when you're not supposed to. Like, there's some that you're supposed to know what the expansions are, but there's like event cards that are supposed to be mixed in, and it's only like 3 or 4 cards. So once you learn what those cards are, you know if it's going to be a good card or a bad card. So yeah, I've kind of sworn those off. But I've seen the product for the other 2 games, the In Magnificent Style and the Soviet Dawn. And when I saw that they were combining that with the other one, which is the Japanese or Chinese one, they got it's a pretty good deal. So I said, okay, well, I'll just get all 3 of them because I do love in Magnificent Style. I do like that game. And I'd prefer to have the larger board. I have the really good VPG version of it. But I kind of bowed down and said, okay, I'll get that.
Well, you're talking about Worthington. No, yeah. Flying Pig.
No,
Flying
Worthington.
Pig. Well, I'm talking about, hold on, where are we? Let's get, Flying Pig. Mark, Herman's got a new game coming out with Mark Walker, Flying Pig Games. Most Fearful, what's it called? Most Fearful Sacrifice. And he's coming on the show to talk about that as well. So that'll be on Kickstarter in March. So he's coming on to talk about that.
Is the guy that you're getting come on, has he ever been part of DVG?
You talking about Herman?
Yeah.
It's Herman Lupman. Herman.
Okay. Herman, yay.
Google him. Tell him, Tony. Tell him.
Well, my history with Kickstarters hasn't been that good. So I kickstarted the new version of Upfront some years ago and got burned on that. And that never went anywhere. And I think I did a small kickstart for a little game for my son. And so I kickstarted that for him. So I've had 50-50 success with Kickstarter. So I've given up on Kickstarter. I said, there's so many games out there. I got a whole bunch of games.
Look, you've frozen Blastpop again. Right, there we go.
No. I just saw your hands flailing there, so I was wondering that I said something wrong.
No, Jay's mentioned something. You must mention. There's 3 things you mustn't mention on this channel. 1 is DVG. 2 is counter clipping, and 3 is Rommel.
Okay, so I'll skip those and talk about games. I got so many games to play. I don't need to kickstart them because I've got enough games right now, probably to go into my retirement. And why should I spend? And I understand the idea of supporting new and small companies and so on and so forth, people with their design visions and all that kind of thing. But why should I spend, $100 a year in advance of getting the game? And I get some little Kickstarter benefits. And I understand perfectly why people do it, and the completionists among us and that kind of thing, to have the entire game. But to me, it just isn't worth putting the money up front and spending a lot of money and hoping that it does show up eventually in some kind of format that's good. That's a greater leap of faith than I'm willing to take. And I don't know how you guys feel on that, but the games come out, I get them. And eventually,
the only Kickstarter I did was DVG, and was well pleased with it. I did the battle packs and other bits and pieces. It took a year to come here, but yeah, well pleased with it. And the only other I wish I had done, but I got it in the end, was the Lock and Load Kickstarter for World at War, where you got a ton of stuff, the expansion and the mat and everything else. But I've got that. But yeah, the only Kickstarter I've ever done is DVG, and it was okay.
Yeah,
I've done a few here and there. I've done quite a few. I don't actively look for it, but if it's somebody that I've done before and I've been pleased with their service, then yeah, I'll back them. Worthington, I did one of their War of 1812 games, and I was extremely pleased with it. But a lot of their stuff isn't discounted. Like it's like their pre-order system basically for some of the Worthington games. But in this case, I bought the 3-pack because the 2 other games were discounted, and I have trouble paying some of the prices that, like $75 for in Magnificent Style. I just don't think it's a $75 game, but I would pay $50 for it, and that's about what it was with when you bought all three of them. So I kind of looked at it that way. And if I really wanted to, I could probably sell it for $75 if I wanted to. I could sell it off if I really wanted to.
But that's the problem with Kickstarters over here in the UK, as David said. A lot of them, apart from I think DVG did a EU sort of thing, and Lock and Load does it as well, where they'll send it to, for instance, Lock and Load will send it to Second Chance Games over here, and then they'll send it out. So you don't, they're the only 2 people or companies that I will kickstart. People like Compass and GMT do it as well. Compass and Worthington don't do UK friendly postage, so it's not worth doing the Kickstarter because you're paying out, silly money for postage.
Yeah, this is why you don't do Kickstarter, because Kickstarter is now going to be the 4th thing you can't say on this channel anymore.
Oh, what have you done now? Oh, because you were going for this, weren't you?
So these I kickstarted all 4 of these games, okay?
Yeah.
And we're going to go back and look. And this one was funded November 2019 to December 2019. Guess what? That's what. Still don't have it, right? Still haven't got it. Let's go and check out the next one.
Boy, did I
this
open a can.
one was updated. Let me see here. What does it tell me when the freaking thing was? Campaign here. We got to go under campaign. So this campaign was... Where did it end? Oh, this was November 26th to December 17th, 2019. Guess what? Still don't have this game. Let's go to the next one on the list. And I got to go under campaign. And then I got to scroll down. This was November 11th, 2019 to December 3rd, 2019.
I'm seeing a lot of pound signs.
Don't have this game. Still don't have this game. Paid for these games December 2019. Still don't have these games. And you can see every one of these games, I didn't mention it, but they have an estimated delivery May, June of 2020. And I'm still waiting on these games. Paid. So let's go to another one. So this will be number 4 from Kickstarter now, right?
You can see why I have to have a glass or 2 of wine to do this vlog, Blastpop, can't you? Numb. I get numb.
This was November 19th, 2019 to December 17th, 2019.
Gold.
Guess what? Still don't have this game. So that is 4 games that I pre-ordered in 2019, still don't have. And then the other piece of shit that I did order and did get $295
oh, no.
for your Apache Thunderbolt Leader, Fleet Commander Nimitz, and Tiger Leader.
It's cyclic.
Just don't expect anything to be right in the games. Don't expect it to be printed correctly. But you can pay $295 plus $50 for shipping to get these shipped to you. and have them sit on your counter and do nothing because they're not actually playable and because they've messed up the printing. But printing issues are expected.
Are you glad you came on, Blastpop?
Pardon?
Are you glad you came on? You nodded off there, didn't you?
Hey, you know, I think both me and ID just are on the same page. So
yeah, I mean the only people I Kickstart or GP500 is GMT and Lock and Load. That's it.
Well, here's something interesting, and it's kind of keeping me from actually P500ing some of the GMT games. I'm still doing it for certain ones, but I have recently purchased a game that has try and pack in it for $68, which I think is lower than the pre-sale price from the P500 price. So I'm like, is it really, do I really need to get it, right when it comes out, or can I wait an extra month and save a little bit more money? I still P500 certain games because I want to support the designers. Anything by Mitch, anything by Mike over here, I'm not going to say no. There's certain ones, but if they're going to sell it out of cool stuff, because that's where I got it, for cheaper than what that is. See, you don't have that option.
No, I don't. No, us over here don't. No, us in Europe and
the thing
over
is,
here.
I'm afraid I'll forget some of it. It's not that much cheaper, but yeah.
And Jay brings up a really good point that I forgot about, and I didn't mention in my little rant about this DVD.
Thanks,
Remember, DVD promised the game, and then they couldn't find the game, and they shipped it wrong, and so it took another 2 months to get here because some idiot at DVG doesn't know what they're doing.
Well, Tony said you P500 to get it first. Actually, my first and only P500 so far was Next War Vietnam, and I got that, I don't know, 10, 15 quid cheaper. So I'm happy.
I'm never doing it again, ever. It's a ripoff. I shouldn't say that. There are a few companies that I think I can trust that would put out a good product and get it to you and update it. Like I think Tony said, Lock and Load. I mean, I can go on and watch Lock and Load when they do their live stream and watch the owner of the company telling you guys where the shipment is, what's going on with it, every details about it. These other ones, I have no idea where they're at, what they're doing. They post a message like once every 2 months. Oh, sorry guys, we ran into issues. Then they change things, right? So that was the other thing. One of the games I pre-ordered, they changed some of the miniatures, and oh my God, there was like 500 emails I got about this, the changes that they're making to the game and why they're making these changes, and people are unhappy. I'm like, this isn't the game I pre-ordered. The game I pre-ordered, you told me was going to be this, then you changed the game.
Blastpop's looking scared now, so I think we'll change. Blastpop, what games are you going to be playing in the near future, my friend?
Oh God, put me on the spot. Oh man.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just had to get it off the. Oh, he would have gone on for 45 minutes. You know that.
Yeah. Well, actually, this one right here. This is coming up very, very soon.
Oh, that's one of those. That's the Italian company, isn't it?
No. That is from Last Stand Games. That's the L2. It's like a one box, and it's by Mike. He's Mr. Area Movement Games. Mike Rinella. Yeah, the guy doesn't design anything but Area Movement Games, and this game came highly recommended from a buddy of mine, and he said get it, and so I clipped the counters, for those people who are clip counter fans.
Don't mention that.
See,
Oh, let's talk about clipping.
Oh,
Let's do it.
Oh, those are good size counters too. Those are good size counters. I like those.
Yeah, they
those
are.
decent.
Yeah,
Is
they're
that,
like 3/4.
is that the one? Is that the game? Did he do a Waterloo game for that? Is that game?
I don't think so. This is not European. This is North American.
Yeah, no. There was one. Who was it? Counterattack did a game. There was an area movement game, and it looks similar. I don't know. I could be thinking of the wrong one.
Well, MMP also did a Stalingrad, Storm over Stalingrad sort of.
Yeah. No, this was a Waterloo. This was a Waterloo game.
Okay.
It was a Napoleonics game. That's area movement, and it looked interesting. I just haven't gotten into area movement.
L2.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact,
he's got that as well. See, he's like a library. Excuse me,
I sense some jealousy in that voice. A lot of jealousy in that voice.
Sorry about the dust on this, but it's.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, I owned that at one point. Yep.
Yeah.
But area movement.
What is the longest you played one single game, and what was it?
What was the longest game you've played? And what game was it? Probably the longest single one I played to completion was probably Bloody April by SPI, Terrible Sword System. Whoops. And then, heaven forbid.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
This fell over. And this fell over.
Thanks, Taylor.
Along with this.
It's on my list, David. Somebody said that's a great game to start out for area movement, which I have an issue. So
it 1919, I came this close to getting that when it was on the P500, and I wish I would have got it now. I just didn't jump on it, and now it's like, damn, I'm not going to spend the money on it now because I could have got it for cheap.
That's the sort of Paths of Glory series, isn't it? That one?
No.
No.
But $34 on cool stuff right now.
That's not too bad.
The 1919, $34, $35.
Yeah, but I need $150 to order all that stuff for free.
I'm pretty sure you could find something.
I know I could. That's why I don't do it, because the wife even said to me today, she's like, the Amazon guy called and wanted to know why you hadn't been placing any orders.
Funny you should mention that. My wife said to me the other day, she goes, I got an email from Amazon saying that we haven't seen you too much lately. What's the story?
He's also had one from the post office saying, what's happened? We've had to lay off the postman.
Yeah, that isn't cool. Especially in times of COVID, you got to keep people employed.
Order.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple things coming tomorrow, so.
Yeah, the wife said that her and the Amazon guy are really getting cozy, so keep ordering stuff, and we'll see what happens, I guess. Might be she said that might be her Valentine's Day gift.
We're laughing, but isn't it sad that when Amazon contacts you to say, what's happening? You're not ordering stuff. Oh, God. The credit card melted, that's why.
Well, given Amazon what it is it's convenient, it's quick. We're finding that we haven't been spending that much money otherwise. We're not going out to dinner as much. We're not buying things. We're going less places because where can you go? You can't go to the bar, the aforementioned bar, which I discussed earlier. So consequently, you order things like, my wife starts ordering some things for her crafts. She made this for me, which says Blastpop here.
Yeah, it's great.
And she got this thing called a Cricut machine, which looks like a printer. You can hook it up to your computer, and you can make all kinds of graphics. You can. It's like a machine you would see in an aircraft manufacturing plant where it goes around, cuts things, and so she's buying stuff like that. And, so we to have some fun.
You hit it right on the head right there. Right on the head. Exactly what I've been saying for months now. Companies, they already got your money. They don't give a shit. They'll do whatever they want.
It hasn't happened yet, and I keep predicting it. So maybe I'm the gloom and doom meister here too, to a degree. But there's so many games that come out. There's so many games that are published. There's so many games coming through Kickstarter. Companies are publishing games faster than it's publisher Paris. It would appear to be. I'm waiting, and I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm looking to see that at some point there's going to be a amalgamation of game companies. There's going to be a crash. At some point, people are going to start buying each other up. I mean, it's happened in the Euro business with like Fantasy Flight Games, but there's going to be a retrenchment, and people are not going to be able to sell their games. They won't, as we're all getting older and we die off, our games go into the marketplace to be sold because our wives don't want any part of them anymore. At what point do we start seeing companies folding because they can't sell what they've got? Because there's Board Game Geek a few years ago had 30,000 games listed on their database, and I think in the last several years it's probably almost like half again greater than that. So we're probably up to around 50,000 games between Kickstarter and the artificial environment that creates. At some point, people don't have the money. They want to play the games that they got. They lose interest. They move on to other things. I'm wondering when this retrenchment is going to occur and who's going to be the survivors in the wargame industry, because it is going to happen. Mark my words. I mean, people do collect games and buy all kinds of things, but like ID is talking there, you got quality issues with one game company. You're not getting something from another. Those are the things that start separating the wheat from the chaff. And when that happens, you're going to see companies fold like a cheap suit. And I just don't know when it's going to happen, but it's bound to happen at some point because people can't spend money like they are right now. And I don't know.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I got about 3 minutes. So what I want from each, Tony, Blastpop, and Ruff, just give us what's going on in your channel, what you're going to be doing this week, so we can update everyone. Tony, you're first.
I'm going to finish 20th Air Force and then finish Charlemagne. That'll take me through the week.
Cool. How do you like it at 20 Air Force?
I love it. I'm having so much fun with it. I wish the quality shits were a little bit better, but the gameplay itself is phenomenal. I really, really am having fun with it.
Yeah.
Blastpop, what do you got going on this week? Anything?
Yeah, I just got a Red Storm GMT game coming up for review. Probably within the next 5 or 10 minutes coming up. It's part of the Downtown Game Series. Operational Vietnam 1987 Cold War Gone Hot game. I love Downtown by GMT Games, Lee Brimacombe Wood. And this is by Doug Bush, I believe his name is. The designer. It continues the game system into a more modern, more tech-savvy environment. So that's coming up at 6 o'clock tonight Eastern time. My look at that.
Hey, Ruff, what do you got going on this week?
This week next week, Monday, Tuesday, we've got some unboxings of that Lock and Load stuff. A couple of quick unboxings of that. I've also got an unboxing of Golf Strike. And the next thing on my table is going to be, I think now, Shores of Tripoli, because I want to give that a go. And hopefully a live stream on Thursday, and I shall chill with my half bottle of gin and 2 or 3 Valium.
Great. Don't forget, guys, I got Wednesday night with designer Mike Denson. We're playing and learning. He's going to combine, teach us how to play the last 100 yards on Vassal, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the designer. Should be a great time if you want to learn, you want to ask questions, you're not sure you're doing something right. He's going to teach us how to play. He's going to go over the rules. He's going to talk about the game, the system, the designs, what's in the boxes, what's coming out. I know the Pacific version's due out later this year. So if you want to ask questions, you want to combine, you want to learn the game, Last 100 Yards with the designer, Wednesday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, well, a big shout out to Blastpop. Thank you. We've been wanting to get him on for a long time. Want to have a great chance to talk with him. We hope to have him back eventually. As you know, I tell that to all our guests, but then we just keep finding more and more people to come and talk with. But it's been a real pleasure to talk with you. And if you need anything, you can contact me or one of the, Ruff or Tony, and hopefully we'll get together again soon.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Mark. It's been brilliant.
It's been enjoyable.
It's nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, thanks to all our friends in the chat. We do appreciate it. A lot of regular viewers, a couple of new faces we haven't seen. So thank you guys. Do give this video a thumbs up and a like. We'll be back next Saturday, probably around 4 o'clock, unless you see something on our channels saying otherwise. And hope everyone has a great week. We'll see you guys on Wednesday for my live stream. And hopefully you guys check out the other channels as well. Thanks, everyone, for coming out tonight. Have a great evening, everyone.
Yep. Bye-bye,
everyone.